What's going on, fellas? Welcome back to the channel. It's another episode of the Road to 880. I'm doing this bit in my driveway because I do not want to be seen, especially now that I got like a full camera. It's not even my phone talking to my camera in the parking lot of the gym. Oh, that sounds fucking embarrassing. So we're doing it in the driveway and hopefully the neighbors don't see me. Kind of wish I could do this session at home. I do like doing my deadlifts at home. I've got all the equipment I need to do so. But Max and I have talked about, again, for this hypertrophy phase, same as we did last time, training together at the gym in town. Now, we'll see if he's there on time. I have my doubts. I think he might have forgotten today, but we're driving into town to get some deadlifts done. On a bit of a different structure now that I've kind of finished up that last portion of the training. Normally, historically, I've always organized my training cycles into like 10-week blocks, sometimes slightly longer, depending, beginning at 60% and hopefully ending at 101%. Many of you guys have heard me say this many times. And this kind of inherent, like this is like traditional American block periodization, very reminiscent of like what Ed Cohn did, a lot of guys of that era. And I think this is a very good idea once you get out of the ability to do kind of just basic linear progression, because it has an inherent bias towards base building, right? We're spending roughly 8 out of every 10 weeks building volume below 90%, only going above 90% for like 2 to 3 weeks out of every 10. And even then we can still be doing bodybuilding work afterward. There's this kind of inherent bias towards putting in volume on your main lifts and then also doing assistance work afterward, because most of us do just need to put on more and more muscle. And that's one of the biggest things. You know, I think some people do oversimplify it, like technique matters, neural efficiency matters. These things definitely do matter. It's not just bodybuild and you automatically will be able to express that to the best of your ability without any work on expression. But that being said, we do kind of want to have this year-round bias towards having like this background, constant burning hypertrophy stimulus. So that way, even if we went heavy on our main lift, we still did our bodybuilding work afterward. We can go home, we can eat, and we can still be productively moving forward towards having more and more lean tissue. That being said, I'm very deep into my career, so there are periods of time where I will deviate away from the standard 10-week base building kind of bias training structure and move towards what you'll see a lot of advanced lifters in the tested side of powerlifting do, which is going heavy like once every 3 to 4 weeks. So a higher frequency of heavy touches by quite a bit. And the reason you see that is because a lot of those guys have already filled out their weight classes with about as much muscle as they're going to carry. Like they're still doing bodybuilding work because it's not lost on anyone that bigger muscles is probably a good idea, but because the size of their machine is not likely to change very much anymore, being late in their training career, biasing more of that training towards taking that same machine and getting better at expressing maximal displays of strength using that rough amount of contractile tissue that you have. So right now, on both my squat and my deadlift, I feel like I'm in a spot where I'm like, okay, I don't really need to lay too much more volume right now. I feel like I could lift a good bit more weight with the rough kind of base. Base can mean a lot of things, muscularity, conditioning. It can mean a lot of things, more general qualities. But with the rough base that we have right now, I don't think I need to get too much bigger to lift more. I probably do need to get bigger to lift 880, but I do think I can lift more. So we're kind of doing a heavy every 3 weeks kind of structure to the training. As you guys are going to see in the upcoming videos, it'll be pretty clear how that works. You know, ramp up 3 weeks down, ramp up 3 weeks down, pretty standard stuff. Yeah. All right, boom pow, we are back for the voiceover. First trial run, dragging the new camera to the gym. Some mistakes were made. Maybe I need to buy a second battery because it did die. I could also bring the charger. We'll figure it out, but I think it went pretty good for a first trial run with this new camera. I did not have the tripod yet for this session, so angles are a bit janky. I'm kind of propping the camera up on like a plyo box and to give that a bit of a go. I'd say it worked well enough. I'm pretty happy with this for a first trial run with the new kind of kit. We'll be getting the mic. We'll be getting the, actually I just got the tripod in the mail today, so hopefully the angles will be a little bit more standardized. It's actually a pretty beefy, like real professional looking tripod, which is not what I wanted. I wanted something kind of minimalist looking. This thing is over designed as fuck. It's got like 8 levers on it to adjust the angles, and god damn, I'm not looking forward to dragging this thing to the gym. I think I'm gonna look like a fucking goober, but I do it all for you boys. Now here you can see my deadlift warm-ups. before I did these, I did my standard kind of warming up. I did a little bit of pull downs, a little bit of rows. I just find if I get my lats warmed up a little bit, my pulls feel a hell of a lot better. And then I also start my workout with my ab work for the day, which I forgot to film, but that was standing ab rollouts as per usual. 3 work sets of those. Did a little bit of hinge, like a little bit of rowing with the bar, some RDLs, and then just some practice reps and started working my way up. Didn't take me more than like 10 minutes tops. Did a little bit of stretching for my hamstring because I feel as though my hamstring mobility is not so great right now. This is something I want to talk about in more of like an educational video at some point, about how there's this deficit of strength in a lengthened position for the hamstrings being like one of the most common issues I see for the deadlift, and how doing like kind of, let's call it neutral back. Neutral's a range, not a specific position. I'm more than aware of that, but let's call it neutral back, flat back RDLs to start developing strength in a lengthened position of the hamstring and establish more of this pure hip hinge pattern is what a lot of people need to do to smooth out their deadlifts, especially if their lockout's kind of junky and they're kind of reliant on the erectors as a primary mover. I feel as though my hamstring kind of strength at length right now is not so great. I need to work on it. So that's something that I've kind of diagnosed that I'm going to work on alongside my pulls. And then one thing you might notice here, if you've seen a lot of my deadlifting, is normally I do what I kind of call the Ed Cone style of doing reps, where it's not touch and go, but you take air at the top, you do a controlled negative, you let that weight sink into the ground, so each rep is still dead stop, but you keep tightness in your body, and then you pull again, air being grabbed at the top. I find this is very, very helpful because a controlled negative will usually pull you into your ideal starting position, so it can let you pace your sets a little bit quicker, and it's more kind of, it lends itself well to putting in volume. Whereas today I decided I would do a reset each rep, not like taking my hands off the bar, but re-dropping my hips into each rep and getting my brace from the bottom. Now, upsides to this technique is it's a hell of a lot more specific to a single. Right now, actually, because often that's what you might want to do if your second rep is habitually a lot better than your first, is make all of your reps more like first reps. I actually don't have this problem. My first rep right now is my best rep, but I find that my position on my second rep is different enough. Using this controlled negative right now for whatever reason might be this kind of deficit of hamstring strength and mobility, but I decided to give it a go. Felt pretty good. Hit 635 for a set of 5. Not a PR. I believe I've done that for 8, but I'm liking how they're feeling. Deadlift strength is progressing really, really well. Certainly not close to that 880 yet, but our momentum is very much on our side. There you saw some really light RDLs. Again, dropped the weight back on those and started to kind of ramp back into them to really work on keeping my back almost slightly extended from my normal deadlifting posture and really emphasize that stretch on the hamstrings because that's something I do need to work on right now. Got some of my rows before the camera died. The rest of what I did this session, for those that are curious, is I did RDLs, rows, I did hamstring curls, and I did pull downs. So hip hinge and a knee flexion, and then a vertical and a horizontal pull was the assistance work, a model I find myself using often. All right, so I looped that last clip so I have a little bit more time to talk, but I did run out of footage here. Battery died. I'll probably bring a backup battery. That seems like the easiest solution to this issue rather than charging the camera mid-workout. When I'm at home in the garage, I can actually just leave the camera plugged in while it records, which is pretty cool. But yeah, thank you guys for the support on this series. I've been kind of back and forth on whether I read comments because I like not reading them because some shit annoys me. I know it shouldn't, but it annoys the fuck out of me. But also, I do like the positive feedback because it keeps me motivated to make videos, knowing that there are actually people out there watching them. Because it's kind of a damned if I do, damned if I don't thing. Because I'll get like 10 positive comments and then one bad one annoy me, right? Which I should probably get over, but I've struggled to do so for whatever reason. But then on the other side of the coin, if I'm not reading anything, I just start to think that like the views are fake and these are just fake views. Nobody actually watches my shit, so there's not any reason to make it. So we're trying to find a happy medium. Also, Max and I, hold us to it. We came up with his new work schedule. We'll be shifting the day we film large lads to Sundays, but we should be back in sync doing those more or less weekly with this new plan. we'll see how that goes. Max has got to get his girlfriend to work on those Sundays, so we have a shorter time frame to kind of get that in. But that being said, that's our plan. We should be able to pick up on those. We're going to use the new camera for tomorrow's and see if it's any good, see if it turns out all right. And if it doesn't, just let me know. The mics will be eventually ordered. It's like $250, so I'll have to save up for a second to go get those and add that to this whole new kind of rig I've got going on.